This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I have a return guest from 13 Fanboy. Yes, and he doubled for Harrison Ford in The Crystal Skull. He was originally supposed to double for Karen Allen, but Harrison Ford wanted him that bad.
It happens.
Folks, he plays Jimmy the janitor in 13 Fanboy. I'm happy to know this guy. He's an awesome stunt guy and all around wonderful guy. Folks, I give you Christopher Norris. How do you do, Chris?
I do quite well, Greg. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. It's great to talk to you again. I
Yeah.
love your American flag, and I see your 13 Fanboy poster behind you. So you're really
Yep.
rocking that.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah,
A true
yeah.
believer.
I'll show this on here. I got an early T-shirt of this,
Yep.
of the 13
Yeah.
Fanboy T-shirt, and I
I might
got the.
have one of those around somewhere.
There you
I know
go.
I've got my gear, my
There
swag.
you go. I've got the tote bag as well, which I brought to Horrorama in 2019 and advertised this. I was so sad because Kane Hodder got the most comments on that T-shirt,
Hmm.
but Tom Matthews got the second most, and Tom Matthews pulled out of the project. And I was like, Debbie
Yeah.
Sue,
Yeah.
so many people are like wanting to see Tom Matthews in this, but
Right.
Tom Matthews had to pull out for scheduling and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Welcome to Hollywood. It's definitely I've been in a few different projects, but definitely an interesting experience to be on board early on and to watch those things happen. People come on board and they cancel out and they get pulled back and change again maybe. So yeah, it's a very interesting flux. Kind of the same way that a lot of stuff can work on set as well, which is always interesting. You think exactly what's going on in the script or what you've been told, and then things just develop and you say, yeah, this isn't feeling right, and the view here is better, and you just change it up and get whatever's best. So yep, it's all good. I think we've got some solid people on there.
I've interviewed more people out of 13 Fanboy than any other film, which
Wow.
isn't really a surprise to anybody. But I'll tell you, I'm honored to be part of this project and to get to know people like yourself.
Thank you.
I know there's a lot of podcasters, they go after a lot of the bigger performers, and that's fine. But it's always nice to get to know some of the smaller names, like yourself, Troy Elke, Noelle Berger, um,
Yeah.
Joe Paul Rising, uh,
Yes.
people like that. And
Mhm.
I love digging deeper because I always find that I find some great stories. That's why I've got you
Sure.
back.
Oh no, I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, no, it was fun to have you back. And I didn't tell you before we started recording, but this is really the Troy Elke hour.
Oh no. Well, I thought you said no dirty jokes, so I don't know. Something's
You
not
did
adding
you
up.
you you didn't tell I didn't tell you that we were going to be examining the psyche of Troy Elke?
Oh boy. I've only booked 17 hours, so I don't think we can cover that.
No, but I'm going to tell you a 13 fanboy. I just recently, I haven't had him on yet, but um, Riley C. Morris.
Yep, our editor.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm supposed to schedule him, and I've been in touch.
Hmm.
And he sends me this message, and I was happy to get this message. He says, "Yeah, I recognize you." He said, "Your picture's definitely there, a bit
Uh-huh.
bloody, but it's there."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. There you go.
So I'm like, okay. And when I stop and think of Nora Hewitt is the Gora effects person who was a
Yes.
student of Tom Savini, I'm like, I feel pretty blessed hearing that.
Yeah, exactly. She spilled blood on you. That's nice.
I got yeah. So yeah, but I understand. I forget who told me this. Whether it was I don't know whether it was Joe Paul Rising or whether it was Christy Fontenot. Maybe it wasn't Christy Fontenot. Somebody told me that you get a pretty unique death scene in this movie, and of course, you play
Yeah.
Jimmy the janitor. I don't know how you die, but do you want to go into the makeup work that was done on you without
Mm.
giving any spoilers?
Um, well, I guess I can allude and tease and a little bit of
Hmm.
things like that, but yeah, the perspective that I was given from the rest of the crew, of course, I haven't been allowed to read the entire script. I think that as an artist, Debbie Sue wants to keep it close to the vest so that all of us involved in the project will still get some shock and excitement and things out of the picture. So being that I wasn't full-time crew, it wasn't necessary for me to know the entire picture. So I lean on the comments that I heard from other people, and they tell me that my death scene is top tier. I've heard people say it's probably one of the top three in the Friday the 13th world, which is incredible.
Yeah.
I hope that's the least bit true. It's certainly all practical effects, and you know, um, I guess one little sort of behind the scenes thing I can mention is that when it was going on, you hear the stories that, well, it's so different behind the scenes, and the things are fake and whatever else. When the effect happened, we did have someone behind the scenes essentially ruin the audio because she screamed and almost fainted because it
Oh,
was
wow.
that good. And so, I'm sure Debbie is able to work around that, but we were all kind of warned, don't make a sound. I need to pick up these little bits and pieces. And it was too intense. And so we actually did get a shriek. So yeah, I think it could be pretty effective when it goes off. I was cleaning blood out of orifices for at least 6 months after the shoot. So yeah, it's it was pretty cool. It was very neat to do. So yeah, and I'd have to say, I know you mentioned my work that I did with Harrison Ford, and that was incredible being on set and working with him and Shia LaBeouf and Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and Dan Bradley, the stunt director. It was way more than I expected. Just being on set, watching the stunt work go, and had the kind of the thrill of my life doing that way back whenever that was 10, 15 years ago. And I had a little bit lower expectations going in to do a slasher. I mean, they weren't racing cars and doing all these crazy things. And actually felt again like I had the time of my life just being on set, working with the people who were there. And it's kind of weird to hear myself say because I feel like everybody in Hollywood is like, oh, they were the best, because you want to promote each other and things. But I had spent money to get out there and things like that. So I was a little bit apprehensive. Is this going to be worth my time and effort? And came away, just couldn't stop talking about it for a year or more. Now I'm still talking about it, right? But that it was just way exceeded my expectations, like such a fun crew and a fun experience. And actually, I guess I'm a little bit of a ham sometimes that way. So to have the whole crew just waiting on you, okay, this is all about you, and this is
Troy
what
Elke didn't call you a ham. He called you pork.
a pork. There you go. Well, that's nice.
I'm pulling your leg. I'm trying to think of another kind of meat on top of my head.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Well, I know he
but
goes by Spam Chucker, so I was a little bit concerned what he might have tagged me with, but
you know what? It's funny because I wasn't on set for 13 Fanboy, and I think that was one of the perks I had, but I wasn't going to be able to make it out there.
yeah,
For number one, I don't have a passport for US right now, and number two,
right.
with work being what it is, I can't.
Mhm.
Uh, It's funny because with the updates and whatnot, I feel like I was there
Yeah.
because and they say I'm
Oh,
there in
yeah.
spirit because
Mhm.
I kept seeing all the updates and I never felt like I wasn't part of it. Jason Bradford sent me a message after the shoot and because he was involved with the Doubtfire Face challenge
Oh, yeah.
and he called me one night and he says he wanted to talk to me and he says you know about anxiety and suicide and depression and stuff and he wasn't suicidal but he was feeling depressed because he just had this blast being on 13 Fanboy. He
Yeah.
felt down that it was all coming to a close and
Yeah.
I said yeah but you got this movie with um Tom Matthews coming out with the gun, the badge, and the hangman's noose
Oh, yeah.
coming out. And I said, "You got other projects coming up." I said, "You're part of this." And he started his spirit started to lift. But I said to him, I said, I wasn't on set like you was," and I said,
Mhm.
"I feel like I was part of this." And
Yeah.
for me to feel like I'm part of this and not meeting any of you guys in person,
Mhm.
I said, "That's quite a thing." And, um, and I have a really good report with Jason Bradford just over that conversation.
Yep.
And of course, Jason Bradford, speaking of which,
Oh, yeah. There you go.
did you get one of these?
I think I have one very, very close by. There's mine.
Oh,
Totally
what?
unplanned, but it's always I don't have blood on mine, but
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, mine's a final chapter one.
there you go. Yep.
And there you go. Yeah, Jason Bradford did a great job on these. But yeah, I had a nice chat with him. But what I liked about it is the community that formed out of this,
Yes.
because I got
Yep.
to know Jason, I got to know yourself, I got to know Noelle Berger,
Mhm.
I got to know Troy Elke, and
I'm sorry.
and so many other people.
You take the good with the bad, it's just yeah.
That Troy Elke, I don't know.
I should probably clue in your listeners before they think I'm a complete jerk. Troy and I are very close. We chat all the time. We give each other a hard time. So I am not absolutely trying to throw him in the gutter,
Why
but maybe
not?
maybe a little. Yeah, no, he's amazing. I love the video shorts and things that he
Oh
puts up.
yeah.
He actually gave me a little bit of direction, had me record some raw footage, and then put together a video with myself in it with
Yeah,
his
I
sound
know. I
effects and
saw
things.
those.
Yeah, that was fun. That was kind of neat. So,
I had Troy on. I'm planning on having him on again too. I discovered Troy, I think it was on Deborah's sheer horror page on Facebook. And he had his theories about the Friday the 13th franchise. And I was like, I think these are interesting. And I reached out and I had him on the show.
mm,
And I've been in touch with him ever since. Um, I don't know what he does for a living because I said, Troy, do you actually? I'd be at my brother's apartment and my brother Andrew would be like, does Troy actually work? I know he shows up someplace, but does he actually work?
well, I guess I have my assumptions, but I cannot really attest to the how much work he gets done. No.
but but I don't know. I think Troy is quite the character,
Absolutely.
he's very creative
Mhm.
and yeah, every time he posts something, I've got to look at it, of course.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like yeah. So and I know we often it's you two go back and forth on that, and sometimes I get jumbled into it. And
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yep. Nobody gets to sit on the sidelines permanently.
No, no. But yeah, I plan to have Troy Elke back on. In fact, he's doing a voice in 13 Fanboy, which is pretty cool.
Yes, that's what I've heard. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's a voice that absolutely does not do anything to help the person he's supposed to be helping.
No. Yeah. No, it's very interesting, like you say, with the sense of community that Deborah has managed to create, not just with those of us who were on set with her and the others, but having everybody really realize that you are a part of it. You know,
Mhm.
it's great that you realize that, because I feel the same way. There's other smaller films that I've maybe helped out or donated to and things, and I'm a little bit of a part of it. You know, we all are. Anybody who's helping out, but this one just feels so much more like we all are such a community that I'm anxiously waiting to see how much of a trip down nostalgia lane or something this is, seeing the film, because I know everybody in it for the most part, and some of that is because they're celebrities from Friday the 13th, and other things I'm going to be like, oh man, I knew you were involved in the project. I didn't know that's what you were doing in it, or what your role was on screen. And like you mentioned, your photos all covered in blood and things, and I so right now didn't realize that's part of the perk that you were in on, is having photos and stuff in it. So I think just every little thing is going to be like an Easter egg to those of us who worked on it. So I'm kind of excited and hoping I don't get too distracted by it, because you'll be in this high tension moment and you go, wait a minute, that's Greg on the wall, like what's going on. But I think that's going to be pretty special, and so many people are going to feel that too. As I mentioned, I don't remember if it was before you were recording, but just getting involved in this, to be able to sit in a theater and point at the screen and say, hey, that's me. And realizing that even folks like yourself that have just a pre-taken photo, you get that same benefit, without, you didn't have to travel to the US or Mexico, whatever, but you still get that same thrill, watching it and saying, hey, look, hey, wow, that's cool, and I know that guy, and this sort of thing. So
I'm waiting for you to say, "Hey, that's me." No, that's Troy Elke.
oh yeah, there you go.
As if you couldn't tell.
Right. Yeah, we're very often mistaken for each other, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you're clean shaven and he's
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we love Troy. We love Troy.
Yep.
But he's gonna
He's
be our punching bag in this interview.
there you go. Well, he's good for something, I guess.
No, but it's interesting because you mentioned, like my photo and stuff being I'm on as a co-producer. I got the perk as well. My credits go be at the beginning of the movie too, which is gonna be pretty cool. I spent a lot
Great.
of money on this movie, and I probably won't spend this much money on a film again. But but I remember how I got involved. Debbie Sue Voorhees has been on my show 4 times. And I think it was the third interview where she dropped this to me, and I was interested, but she didn't have me hook, line, and sinker until she mentioned Tracy Savage was gonna be in it, and I was like,
Ah,
"Oh."
there you go.
I I told Tracy I've had Tracy Savage on twice, and I'm still in touch with Tracy, and, I said to her, I said, "You know how much money I spent on this film because of you?"
Yep.
Tra
She should
Tra
be proud.
Oh,
She's a
yeah.
good fundraiser.
Yeah, Tracy, and it's funny too because I've interviewed her twice, and I had some idiot comment on my first interview with her, saying Tracy's probably embarrassed by this uh, because I kept I would say things to her like um, forget about the 3D. I was like, what were you like in 3D? I said
Uh-huh.
that would have been my favorite. And he
Right.
said, and this guy was alluding to the fact that Tracy's probably embarrassed by this guy oogling her and blah blah blah. And Tracy and I are still in touch. And
Yeah.
she um she told me, she says that I make her feel good. And it's
Oh,
like,
that's nice.
and it's funny because during that interview I didn't say anything grotesque, nothing offensive,
Yeah.
but it's funny because one of the things I said to her, I said, Tracy, you made me spend a lot of money.
Uh-huh.
I said that's how big of a crush I had on you growing up, and I
There
still
you go.
think she's beautiful.
She
So
is. And
yeah.
I'm not sure if you've mentioned it, perhaps in our prior interview, I'm sure you did, but she is one of the celebrities who I share the screen with in 13 Fanboy.
Hmm.
So I've got some interaction with her and got to spend that time on set with her and around her. And she is wonderful. She's, very down to earth, very nice lady. So yeah, very proud that I got to work with, that's my brush with fame, right? Like my close celebrity. I was right there with Debbie Sue behind the scenes, but on screen, I actually am out there with somebody who's very recognizable, I think. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And of course,
Yeah.
Judy Aronson showed up, as just before I finished my scenes, she showed up to do hers. So, got to meet her as well, Vincent DeSante, and of course, all the crew and things behind the scenes. So, yeah, but no, Tracy's wonderful. I didn't know when I signed on. I just knew it was for a really cool death scene, and that was it. So it was pretty cool to actually get to work with her and share the screen, if you will. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So hopefully her star doesn't shine so bright that you don't even see me, but we'll manage.
Well, you know what? The one of the perks, of course, is to have your photo in the movie, and and one of the scenes would have been with Tracy Savage. I said to Debbie Sue Voorhees, I sent her a private message. Says, I want my picture in a scene with Tracy. I said
There you
that's
go.
like a gold star for me.
Yeah.
So I immediately went to work and I sent Debbie Sue Voorhees 3 or 4 pictures. And
Yeah.
I told her, I said, use whatever one you need to use.
Mm,
I said, whatever one works for you. I
yep.
said, I'm fine. I said, the fact that I'm going to be in a scene with Tracy Savage, my picture is like a-okay for me. So
Bonus. Yep.
I'm quite happy about that.
So I see that nice big spot on the wall reserved for the screenshot poster that you're going to take, that's going to have her face and yours side by side, right? And be right up there on the wall.
Yeah, I actually joked with her. I said, I heard that there, and this hasn't happened yet, but Debbie Sue was saying that there'll be props from the movie that are going to be perked off. And one of them
Uh-huh.
was going to be the outfit that Tracy wore. And
Oh,
I said to Tracy Savage, I said, you know, I know I have a big crush on you going back to the 80s, but I said, there comes a point where I have to take a step back because if I'm tempted to buy that outfit, but if something happens that I pass away, that would be something that would be, if somebody discovered your outfit in my possession, that would bring a lot of questions.
well, I think the solution there is to just, you'll be buried in it, right? So,
Oh, gee.
hey, it's not a Cadillac, but you can still be buried in your prized possession. So,
It's like somebody discovered this is Greg secretly a Norman Bates here?
yeah, exactly.
Do we got Medea going on here or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Part of me is tempted, but the other part of me is like, yeah, there's a movie right there in itself.
Yeah. So I wasn't even familiar with that. So is she planning to do the kind of auction off the perks or something after the film is out so that
I
the
don't
props are more
know.
recognizable? Interesting.
I don't know, but I heard about it and I was like, hmm.
Yeah.
Because I really like Tracy Savage, but I'm like, yeah, I'm like,
But I already have a blue dress, so
oh, right. I'm like, yeah, I had to. I think Jason Bradford suggested. He said, "Well, you could have that thing framed and have her picture from the movie by it." And he said that would save you. And I'm like, well, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Might be a little creepy though to have kind of the dress and then like a photo of her, just where the head should be, with the dress on the wall. I don't know, a little bit too much of a shrine or something, but
Yeah,
you work that out.
I did mention this to Tracy Savage, and she got a chuckle out of it. But she didn't care if I got it,
Sure. No.
But um, I don't know. I haven't made crossed that road,
Yeah.
but Tracy's been wonderful with me. I
Well,
know
yeah.
I sent her a text on Valentine's Day, and wished her well, and but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing my picture in that scene with her. So quite,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I guess you might say you'll cross that dress when you get to it, right?
I'll cross that dress when I get to it. Yeah, yeah. But going back to your death scene, how
Yes.
long were you in the makeup chair for that?
Oh boy. Uh, I mean, it was probably a couple of hours. Um, there was prep work, of course, that was sort of the makeup chair aspect of it. There's the actual event, that's one of the cool parts. And of course, I haven't seen the final footage or anything, and I didn't get to be behind the camera while it was going on, but it's sort of a live death, if that's not too much of an oxymoron, where sometimes you just discover someone who's dead or things like that. So there was the actual activity of making it happen, and then there is the aftermath. So it was the better part of a day that I was covered in blood. And yeah, washing it off was a little bit harder than I had counted on. But
Tracy Savage had told me that she had so much blood on her that when she went to wash it off, all she had was a sink. And she
uh-huh.
said she put one foot in the sink, lift one foot up into the sink to try to, wash it off from
Yep.
all every pore from her. And I was like, yeah, I'm glad it's just my picture.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It was tricky. Yeah, I know that sink. That's the one I tried to wash most of my stuff off. It was probably just a good thing that I wasn't flying back that same evening, because I didn't manage to get it all off very well. So, uh,
Well, I keep picturing in my head how I think this might go. I don't know whether Debbie Sue's cameo in it is going to be at the beginning of the movie or whether it's going to be a flashback. But
oh, right.
you know, but I picture Tracy Savage's scene in the movie. Um, I'm picturing this. I'm pretty sure Dave Miller, yourself, and Jason Bradford
Hmm.
are all off in and around the time when Tracy Savage's big scene is. I'm just assuming that,
Hmm.
but I just have this image because you're the janitor, Jason Bradford's the security guy, and Dave Miller, Lucky Duck, plays her husband. Like
Yeah.
if I had a known that,
Yeah. Major perk.
yeah. But yeah, I said to Dave Miller when I had him on, I said, "You had the best role in the film." I said, "Where
Yeah,
was I in
from
that casting?"
Yeah, well, as I say, it was a little generic signing up, which was
Mhm.
fine. You just the general idea you'd get offed. But David Miller, when I met him on set, I think told me that he originally was going to have my role as the janitor that got killed. And I think that Deborah didn't think I looked old enough to be the husband of one of these celebrities from the 80s. So she switched it up a little bit. So I almost may have been her husband, or just completely swapped out somewhere else. But So yeah, so that,
Are
but
you
you're right.
kidding me? Debbie Sue old enough? Holy cow. I'm like, no, Debbie Sue, or not Debbie Sue, Tracy Savage looks as stunning today as she did back then.
Well, and I'm piecing things together because, just with teasing and stuff,
Yeah.
Deborah had mentioned that, because I joked with her and said I would play her husband, and she said that, I didn't look old enough for that, and it turns out I'm older than her real husband. So I thought, you know what, that would have actually worked, so so I'm just assuming that may be why she initially didn't decide to pair me up with Tracy Savage, because she just had mistaken my age or something. But so yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
I did not know this. I did not know that Debbie Sue was married to a younger man.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
And she still looks good too.
she does. She's adorable. I just, just watching her smile, she just exudes love. I think she's just such a good person. So love her a lot.
How many times did filming get delayed because she went onto the Hubbard's property?
Well, I wasn't given the explanation what the delays were for, but uh, yeah, that explains a lot now that I think of it.
She's supposed to stay off the Hubbard's property.
Yep. Yeah, it didn't go so well the last time she was there, I think,
No, 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 but no, I'm glad to be part of this. And it was the first film I was part of as well.
Wow,
I'm now part of 3 Friday the 13th projects.
great.
I'm, of course, part of Victim No More for Bobby
Hmm.
Heckman.
Yep.
And that project, I signed an NDA, but that's going to have some people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Very cool.
very happy about being part of that. And I'm part of Hearts of Darkness, the making of the final Friday.
Right.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
I'm really looking forward to that.
yep.
Yeah.
Are you part of either of those?
I not in a hugely significant way, but I've was on a crazy investing spree, if you will. Donating spree is probably more like it, at the time when I got onto 13 Fanboy. So I think I'm in there, as a donator and things like that for many of those projects.
Okay.
But I don't remember exactly the level, because, and I guess that's the spirit of it. When I saw those folks and knew who they were and they needed help, I just kind of helped out. But it wasn't to try to get myself in front of the camera the way that it initially had been. So, but yes, I'm pretty sure that I've donated on a round or two of a few of those when they were fundraising.
How
But
much did you donate to get Troy Elke help?
I don't think I have enough money to help. um,
I'm really glad that Debbie Sue got Troy Elke involved in this film in some capacity. It's just
yes.
his voice, but it's like that guy has a look that has to be seen, That guy's got I told Troy, don't ever shave your beard off. That's part of your character, man.
Oh, absolutely. And I think a few years ago he had some kind of teaser video up that he said it was finally time to shave, and he was teasing about, shaving it off, and of course it didn't. But just trying to get people to clickbait.
Oh, I know what he was alluding to. Go, not this.
Yeah, that was probably the one. Yeah, I probably blocked that out mentally. I was like, but there was something about him shaving his beard, and after that, I don't remember any of it. Yeah,
No, he was shaving his balls.
yeah, nice.
Yeah, I love his comic timing, and yeah, I talked to Troy quite a bit, not in the last while because you know, uh I usually when I call him he'd be at work, and
Oh yeah.
he could talk to me if there was nobody in the store, but now I guess there's too many people in the store so he can't talk to me. And I'm like,
Oh.
I sent him a message there the other day. I said, are you at work or are you playing with your squirrel? Playing with my squirrel's nuts.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a euphemism. When Troy says he's playing with his squirrel, just walk away.
Yeah, but Noah's he's very, very creative in what he does. So
Indeed, yes.
yep. So yeah. So I'm glad that Debbie Sue got him involved in this movie and got a whole lot of people involved in it. I've met Dee Wallace at Horrorama 2018, and I've had her on the show in 2015. So
Yep.
it's nice that Dee Wallace is involved in this. Now, in 2018, yeah, I wasn't involved with 13 Fanboy then. So, but Dee Wallace remembered me from her interview. So,
Yep.
but,
Yeah, she's a legend. Very sweet lady too.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, how many days were you on set for that movie?
I was there for 2 full days on set, not in front of the camera the entire time or anything like that. Of course, that's how these things go. But I actually was able to get my son involved and on screen as well because there was a need at the time for college age students, and my son is graduating in May this year, actually. So he was right there in the middle of what they needed, and being a filmmaker on his own, he wanted to go and see behind the scenes and that sort of thing. So he was planning to come to New Mexico anyway. And we found out that they didn't have enough kids there, if you will, because some of them hadn't gotten parental permission and things like that. So, a little bit of a scramble to have more people available. So he is actually on screen with Tracy as well. I didn't get to watch him being filmed. I mean, that's just how these things go. You don't want extra people in the way, but he got to got to be a college student in the film as well. And so, yeah, that's kind of cool because while I was waiting to film that part, I also picked up a role as a defense attorney in a movie called The 24th that Oscar winner Kevin Wilmot put out after he won his Oscar with Spike Lee on Black Klansman.
Oh, love
And
that movie.
yeah, wonderful, right?
Yeah.
And so they used me as a defense attorney for these 65 soldiers who were on trial. However, they were also able to use my son as a photographer in the background of the courtroom during that. So we actually have 2 films together that we've worked on, father-son thing. So so it was pretty cool to be able to get him involved in both of those. So his name is Matt, or Matthew Norris. So you'll be seeing a little bit of him.
How many films are you involved in with Troy Elke?
Oh gosh, never enough. Just there, there can't be enough. Um, I haven't really talked to him too much about what he's done and been involved with in the other films. I know he's had more screen time so far than I have with some other smaller projects. It seems like I've seen him put up standing there waiting in line at a bar and different things like that. And I think he was sitting in a classroom and that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, I'm not sure what other, as far as indie or horror projects that he's actually involved with.
Yeah, I cameo in 9 James Balsamo movies as well.
Okay.
I just had to shoot it on my phone and send it.
Oh,
And in one film, It Wants Blood has 2 clips of me. In one of them, is on a television being watched by Eric Roberts, and I was like,
mhm.
yeah. So I'm in a scene with Eric Roberts, and I didn't even have to move my ass from this apartment.
Nice. Wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, happy to be involved with this, and yeah, 13 Fanboy is the film. That and Halloween Kills and probably
Yeah.
Cruella are the movies I'm most looking forward to right now that are coming
Yep.
out. And there's others too. Is theaters open where you are right now?
Not that I've seen. Uh, I don't believe that they are.
Ours
I
have been open since last July.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
here in New Brunswick, Canada, we got pretty much got the jump on this pandemic,
I
and
guess so.
yeah, but
Wow.
it's
Well,
yeah.
I'm hoping it's all full steam ahead by Friday the 13th of August, and we get 13 Fanboy out around that time, if not sooner, if a distributor decides what they want to do. But yeah, really hoping that we can give Halloween Kills a run for its money, or something like that. That would be spectacular. But
Well, I'm hoping 13 Fanboy does well
yeah.
because one of the things that pissed me off here, we got our own little film festival here, and that's been going since 2001, I think. And they always talk about in the film community here about films with New Brunswick connection, and you get
Mhm.
filmmakers here and whatnot. And I approached about having 13 Fanboy play at the local film festival here.
Yeah.
And I got asked if I'm starring in it. And I said, well, number one, you don't want to see that. I can cameo in 9 James Balsamo movies because my poor acting fits the tone of those movies and it doesn't
There
hurt
you go.
them. It's like, my picture's in it. That's about the height of me being seen in it, other than my name as co-producer. But I got turned down. And I'm like, I just gave a New Brunswick connection to one of the
Yeah.
biggest horror franchise in history. And I'm
Yeah.
getting turned down.
Yeah. That's kind
And
of odd. Hmm.
yep, and it pissed me off. And I realized what the niche is. It's almost clicky, I find it. What the film situation in New Brunswick is. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I mean, Los Angeles, I think, is premiering 13 Fanboy.
Yeah.
So I'm and Toronto certainly seems interested from when I went there for Horrorama. So it's
Right.
like, okay. But I mean, Joe Medjet, he's from here and he produced Ghostbusters. He didn't
Oh, wow.
star in that.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah,
down
I
here
thought
for the
maybe they were focused on smaller independent pictures and things. If it was an art house type cinema or something like that, that could be part of it. That we've sort of crossed that line where yes, it's a modest budget, but we're hoping and anticipating being this huge theatrical international release. So I thought maybe that just wasn't their niche, but things like
no,
Ghostbusters, obviously.
I don't know. I remember the first year I went to Toronto, I looked at what was playing at the film festival and I was like, well, I can get VIP for the film festival and meet people that I can meet at the local coffee shop for free. Or I could go to Toronto, assist an actress, Lisa Langlois, who invited me. I could assist her at her table at the convention
Mhm.
and meet people from movies I like.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I went to Toronto. So I'm
Mhm.
really disappointed with the response I got to 13 Fanboy here,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Well,
okay,
it's all good. They'll pick it up second run or something as it starts to really gain momentum. They'll see the light.
yeah, but it's like, don't approach me then.
Yeah,
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 yep, don't approach me then. It's not like I'm a star in 13 Fanboy. The point is, I just gave a New Brunswick connection to Friday the 13th. With
sure.
this,
Yeah,
with this and Victim No More and with Hearts of Darkness making the final Friday, I just gave a New Brunswick connection to that franchise. So I took
yeah,
that as a slap in the face.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. Move on. It's like sales. 99% failure is wild success, right? Like you make the one sale and the other 99 tell you no, and you're a billionaire. So
Or you
yeah,
can make the one sale and then sell a Troy Elke 99 times.
there you go. Pig in a poke or something.
Yeah. But I'm very proud of it. I never thought in a million. Here's the thing with this podcast, I don't make money at it. I
Right.
just look who joined me.
Oh, there you go.
Skittles. Hi,
I was gonna say
Skittles.
my dog is crying at the door, so I'm gonna take about 3 seconds and just open it for
Oh,
her.
you go open the yeah, Skittles, are you gonna join me? Skittles is joining me at the computer.
Okay.
His tail sticking right up here. Hi, Kitty. Kitty, did you want to say hello to Chris Norris?
Hello,
No, he's too
Skittles.
busy rubbing against my finger. No, this is not Chris Norris.
No.
No, but yeah, that
Well,
caught me by surprise.
yeah. Well, I am also executive producer on 13 Fanboy, as
Yes,
well
you
as
are.
starring in it. So, yeah, I appreciate the efforts to get it out there and make sure people are aware. But all the feedback and things I keep getting from people, and of course I mention it to folks all over the place, and they all believe that we're at least set up to be some kind of a huge cult hit. Just you've got the built-in audience, and really a lot of faith in what Debbie Sue is putting together, and just the involvement of the whole community and things like that. So it was. I'm not sure, it's we don't know how exactly it's going to turn out right now, so it'll be interesting. But I really think that being one of the first to do what she's done is huge, and there's probably going to be a lot more saying, "Oh, wow, that's how you get yourself a built-in audience. You do this fundraising thing, and people feel like they're part of it." And it worked, I think, and it's going to have a huge positive impact. But I'll be curious to see exactly how much copycat that sets the mold for people to try to do the same. So, but yeah, I really do feel like it's just this huge community, people feeling that they've been involved for a long time and made a lot of friends and have a lot of positive associations. So I think that should really help a lot to certainly to cement the cult status, if not to help us be just a big blockbuster. So, lead to lots of sequels.
Well, I gotta say this too. Like, one thing I noticed with you is how you support people in the community. I know you've come to Troy Elke's aid for a few times,
Sure.
and I think that is really cool. You're a very generous individual, especially I know Troy Elke appreciates that about you as well.
Yeah. No, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely do a lot of giving, and really like to help people out when they're in a spot, and not look down on them for it. I guess I don't like the thought of being helpless, and so I
No.
try to make sure that no one else has to feel that either. So where I'm able, sort of to a fault, I mean, hopefully I'll still have money to retire on in the long run. But yeah, I've tended to just bail out everybody that I can, and just keep faith in God that He'll continue to provide. So I can continue to do the same. So, but yeah, it's been wonderful to actually at least be in a position where I know it's not much, but when it matters, when somebody really needs it, it's great to be able to be there for them. So, and if anybody hasn't done such a thing, I encourage it.
Keep
It really
faith.
will make you feel good. Yeah.
Keep faith in God is the word you
Yes.
said right there.
Yep.
Yep. Uh, I don't know what your religious beliefs are, but I come from a Christian background as well.
Yep.
So, yep,
Mhm.
yep. My Bible's over there, and when I'm reading it at night, Skittles here jumps up on the bed, and I'm like, Kitty, do you want to read this?
Yep.
Kitty just is curious about everything I do.
And he reads aloud to you.
He tries.
Yeah.
I'm like, he mostly just rubs against my hand. I'm like, Kitty.
There you go.
No. Talk about Judy Aronson.
She was very sweet, very nice. I had just a little bit of limited interaction with her. As I say, I wasn't in scenes with her, but she showed up overlapping on the day that I was still there on set. So, um, you know, as usual celebrities, she was kind of rushed in the door, kind of get her some food and get everything ready and get her on set. So, try not to hassle her too much, but just introduce myself and point out that I was also in the film with her and my son was, and things like that too. But yeah, she definitely seemed very nice from the interaction I had.
So you got to meet two, actually between that and Debbie Sue Voorhees and Tracy, you met three gorgeous women.
Yes.
Damn it, I should have been on set.
Yeah. Hey, as I said, it was a time of my life, and we spent a little time over at the Hubbards, as you mentioned. So
Yeah? Did Carol and Junior come over on their motorcycle and were you guys?
no, no. I think something may have happened to them. I don't know. They weren't around.
Yeah, that their scenes came later. But
Yeah.
yeah, Tom Matthews and Adrian King had to drop out of the project, which is unfortunate,
Yeah.
but still,
Yep.
it's great what they had. They got Corey Feldman involved in this, and
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
you weren't there for when Corey Feldman was there, huh?
No, from what I understand, he filmed the day prior to when I arrived. So he had just wrapped the parts that he was doing. So yeah, that would have been pretty cool too. But you know, I'll just have to settle for being in a film with all these legends versus saying that I met them in passing at a Comic-Con or something like
Well, you
that.
know what? It's funny because if you look at the list of crew on the Internet Movie Database,
Uh-huh.
I think one of the co-producers or executive producers or something like that is Mike Merriman, who of course is the Corey Feldman character. And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
was he involved in that aspect?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was one of the perks is having characters named after yourself.
Hmm.
So that's your little claim to fame. So, I keep forgetting about that. And then as I do look through some of these credits, I was like, wait a minute, how come her name is in this column as the character, not, I'm like, oh, gotcha. So
Yeah, I
that was
think
part
there's
of the,
another one like that too. And
I
I,
think Christy Fontenot, I think she's one of the ones that I thought I picked up on the name and said, wait, I know her, but how come this other person is named that? And
yeah,
I'm trying to remember if Troy Elke actually has somebody named after him. I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
Jason Bradford's character's name's Troy.
There you go. Okay. So I knew there was some connection.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason Bradford wanted to go out in a blaze of glory named Troy.
There you go. Well, it's all downhill from there. I mean, geez, you kind of, I think he's peaked.
There you go. But no, that is great. And looking at their kitties, jump down now, so I can. I need to exit full screen because you got a film called The Eyes of Tammy Faye completed. Now I'm gonna click onto that.
Yep.
Oh, I love the poster for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's with,
Jessica Chastain's in that. Ooh.
yes. Jessica Chastain was lovely, wonderful. I worked directly with Andrew Garfield as well. He plays Jim Baker.
You know
And
what? I uh I like Andrew Garfield, love The Social Network, but I gotta say I love Andrew Garfield's ex. I'm a huge Emma Stone fan.
there you go. So it's how many degrees of Kevin Bacon are we here? Like I worked with him, but not with Emma, but it's pretty close.
Oh yeah. Emma right now is my favorite actor
Yep.
because not only is she, as far as I'm concerned, I think she's stunning, but
Hmm.
she's also very unique because everything she seems to be in, like she can do musicals, she could do comedy, she can do the action movies, she
Yeah.
movies like Zombieland. She's got a
Yeah.
nice stretch, and I'm looking forward to seeing her play Cruella Deville.
Yeah. She's a
So
natural. Yeah. She's
I
really good.
I'll watch Emma Stone in pretty much anything. I'll probably watch her read the phone book, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. But oh yeah, this must be Oh, Tammy Faye. Now I know that name. Okay. So this is based on a true account. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how true to the actual events they are. I'm not sure that they had the blessing of that estate necessarily, but yeah, a little bit of a comedy parody or something based on it. Again, it's interesting to me when you're not the A-lister. They don't show you the whole script, have you read it, and then decide to join. It's more, hey, we can use you for this, and here's the big names, and you're like, I'll do anything. Sure, that's great. So I'm not sure what the rest of the film is going to look like, but I did have the honor of being with Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken fame on screen at the same time with Andrew Garfield. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I'm
What was
actually a little bit curious what they'll do with it, because it's got to be a period piece because it's based on their sort of rise to fame and infamy and whatever. But I don't know if the scenes that I shot will be something, say, shown on a television that they're watching or someone is watching, or whether it will be sort of first person as though it's actually happening. But yeah, it was fun to do. It'd be neat to see. So now I've done, I guess that's comedy, and I've done the documentary, if you will, or docudrama, I guess, the 24th, and the thriller slasher 13 Fanboy stuff here. So I've got to think what else I need to do.
Yeah, I like Jessica Chastain. She's a
Yes.
wonderful actress. Vincent D'Onofrio is in this as well.
Yes.
Wow.
Full Metal
Okay.
Jacket and all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
big stuff. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, the 24th. Says you're uncredited for that one.
Yeah, I didn't have an actual character name, and I don't think that they put me in the credits for it. So, but I have the paychecks.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
And by day's end, political rally extra.
Yep. That was a local filmmaker near me named Tim Jameson,
Mm-hmm.
and he needed a little bit of help and some extra people to flesh out a crowd and a bar scene and things like that. So that was my following in Troy's footsteps. Just hang out at a bar and try to act like Troy. So we'll see what that looks like.
Well, I think it's cool that you did stunt that doubled for Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. Do you think they'll have you double them for the next one? There's supposed to be a fifth one.
I've been waiting, and as silly as it is, at the time that I did that shoot, I was living in Connecticut, so it was
Okay.
at least 11 years ago, closer to 15. But I have kept my cell phone number so that when the agency calls to
Hmm.
do the next one, they'll be sure to be able to get a hold of me. So there's a good chance that they'll reach out, I suppose. In particular, if they are shooting scenes that are going to be around Yale and things like they did in New Haven last time around. So we'll see. I mean, I'm open to it.
Did you get to use the bullwhip when you doubled for him?
I did not.
Oh.
I got to be on the motorcycle and for those chase scenes, and I got to be in the cars of the Russians that were chasing him and things like that. So and then just in general, got to be around watching the mayhem and the pots smashing and exploding and things flying through the air. So people almost getting hit by cars and good stuff. So.
You
Uh,
know, I was really happy they brought Karen Allen back for that movie because I always loved
yeah.
her in Raiders and
Yep.
Animal House and Cruising and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if I asked you this before because I didn't listen to our other interview prior to this, but did you meet Karen Allen?
I did not. She was
Oh,
not in that section. I think if I remember continuity wise, the parts that I worked on, she did not show up in the film until later. That was a little bit of a surprise, I guess. She didn't quite know that Mutt was related to her and so forth. Spoiler alert, sorry, but enough time's gone by. So yes, I was in the university scene, that sort of area, and at the
Okay.
time, I think they were doing more continuity. So she didn't show up for a little bit.
I also see you're associate producer on Nest of Vampires. I think Troy Elke is involved in this.
Yeah, that one just came out this week. So the what today that we're, I don't know if it's supposed to be a secret what day you're actually recording these versus when you release them, but yeah, just this week that came out. And so the DVDs are not quite ready as of today, but it is available on streaming. So I just went ahead and picked that up yesterday so that I can try to watch it this weekend. But it sounds like it's doing really well, getting a lot of good reviews. And um, gosh, he's going to kill me if I'm getting his name wrong, but I think it's Chris Sanders is the director, writer,
Yep.
pretty much the power behind
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, he's been great to talk to and work with, and it sounds like his phone has just been ringing off the hook since that got out there and the reviews have been posted. So he's probably going to become something of a name in the larger film community. So that's wonderful that that's gone somewhere for him.
Well, I see Sean C. Phillips's name on here. He reached out to me on a film project recently, and I was going to turn it down, but then I looked through the perks, and there's one where I could have my voice in the film, and I'm like, I've never done that before, so I'm taking that into consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking that into consideration, you know. I did recognize his name from other projects, whether or not they were, whether it was through Noelle Berger, because Noelle seems to be involved in like everything I'm involved with.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. The pictures from it look good, so
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
Nest of Vampire, I think Troy Elke, I think, is involved in that as well.
Oh,
If
okay.
if I get down here and I'm just taking a look down here and see if I could see Troy's name, but
He's pretty sneaky. I think he's been stalking me for a few years now. So
oh,
whatever I'm involved in, he's probably doing the same.
B Luciano Barsuglia uh, is an executive producer on this, and or no, associate producer on this, and he directed Social Network, or not Social Network,
Social distance or something like that, wasn't it?
Social Distance, yes, because I'm involved in that one as well, and I just had him on early this month.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff going on out there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find Troy's name, but I don't see it here. It could be jumbled within. Who knows?
Well, perhaps it's under Elky 3 or Elky 4.
Elky 3, Elky 4. Yeah. And then there's Tales from the Dead Zone. You're on that as associate producer.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that
got
made my
Corey. Oh, gee, I heard about this through Troy Elke. He approached me about being part of this, and I thought the trailer just looked bad. But I am a big Bret Hart fan, and Corey Feldman's in this. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got to support our fellow actors from our projects,
Yeah, I was pitched this by Troy, and I looked at some footage that was shot, and I took a pass on it. But I do like Bret Hart. I wonder if he puts Corey Feldman in the sharpshooter.
No.
That's his finishing move.
Oh, there you go.
What, you don't watch wrestling?
Oh my gosh. Well, not since I was 13, probably. But yeah, I remember Hulk Hogan and him appearing in Rocky 3 and things like that. But yeah, haven't followed that for a little while.
Yeah. No, I don't follow it now because now it's gotten stupid. But back in the 80s, I got a bunch of the figurines even behind me there.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yep. Although I was more a Roddy Piper guy than a Hulk Hogan guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rowdy Roddy. gosh, that film that he did, what was that one? You know what I'm talking about.
They Live.
Yes,
Yeah.
really cool. Yep. It slipped my mind, but yeah, I've seen that a number of times. That was great. Although the fight scene that he was in maybe went on a little long. I guess that was a tribute to the wrestling days. But
Well, I've had
uh,
his daughter on here 3 times, so
oh,
that was,
cool,
yeah, that was fun. I talked to her, and she did a Doubtfire challenge for me too, which was pretty cool.
awesome.
Yep, she did it on my birthday last year, and in fact, she even said she'd do another one because I told her, I said we could make this an ongoing thing because I pitched it to her on Cameo.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Well, you know what? I could do this." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll do it again."
Yeah,
Yep,
sure. That's
yep.
cool.
I have pitched that. That's for, of course, for suicide depression awareness, and
Right.
there's been a little bit of success with that. And, Sandy Johnson from Halloween did it in front, or no, she did it, and her husband was dressed up as Michael Myers.
Oh, okay.
Did you see that one?
I think I did. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
That was funny. Nancy McLaughlin did it in front of props from Jason Lives.
Yeah. Now I'm my trivia is lacking in some of these areas. Now, Nancy McLaughlin, is that Tommy McLaughlin's wife, sister?
Was his wife, ex-wife now. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say I knew the last
She
name, and
she was the one in Jason Lives that had the American Express card.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
I talked to her pretty much on a weekly or bi-weekly basis.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've had her on here 3 times.
Okay.
Nancy is awesome. She is super
Yeah.
awesome. In
Yep.
fact, I should show this because she sent me this, and I know Jason Bradford has one of these.
Oh, wow. Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, she has it numbered number 2 with her initials on the back. I think Jason Bradford get the first one.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah, yeah. Nancy is super awesome. If you ever get a chance
Yeah.
to meet her, she is lovely.
Yep.
But she did the Doubtfire challenge.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't recommend people do it during the pandemic, but
No.
I know that you said you were going to do it, so
Yeah, I'm certainly open to it. I guess it's just one of those things to get around to. As you probably were aware, perhaps from the last time that we did one of these, my niece actually took her own life about a year and a half ago. So,
oh, I'm
yeah, it's
sorry.
definitely. Oh no, thank you. I mean, it's sad, but it definitely makes you much more aware and sensitive to some of these kinds of things. So yeah, I guess October would be 2 years coming up. So, but yeah, it's 25 years old, beautiful girl. Just no real good explanation. So definitely have been contributing in her honor, and those fundraisers and things to try to get that awareness out there. It's just it's a tragic thing, and I'm glad that it's getting the visibility, and that the mental health and things in this day and age are not considered, and I hate to use non-PC terms, freakish or whatever, used to be looked at and just shameful and hidden and whatever else. And that now people realize, oh no, we're finally willing to admit that we all have some little percentage of, mental struggle. I certainly have plenty of anxiety myself. Hopefully too much of that doesn't come through, but we're willing to admit that we're not perfect, and to get that help. And so if my issue is with anxiety, and other people's is with depression, and someone else is an eating disorder, there's no shame in any of it. It's humanity. So I try to be very positive, and look at it that at least people are willing to talk about it, and to raise funds for it, and to get the help that they need. And it's unfortunate that Sarah, my niece, didn't get the help that she clearly needed. We weren't aware, but I'm happy that people are at least getting some help now, and hope that that continues even more.
I'm sorry to hear about your niece, man. I had no idea.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's you don't post about it, those sorts of things, quite as
No,
often on Facebook, right? So,
no.
uh, but yeah, it was, I don't want to bring your show down,
Well,
but
here's the thing. I had somebody very snarky online said, "What does taking a pie in the face go do to help? If somebody's going to take their life, they're good." I'm like, "Yeah, but you know what? I haven't dealt with suicide, but I've dealt with depression, and it's not
Mhm.
fun."
Right.
And it,
Well, no, and I mean the short answer to that is that there's got to be some sort of, well, for some people there's got to be some kind of gimmick. I mean, there's marketing involved, and
mhm.
so anything that you can own and latch onto, and the fact it's a Doubtfire challenge. People know that famous scene from the film with Robin Williams. So yeah, I mean it's symbolic, I suppose, and even if people don't perform the act, that if they're aware and they like it and they support it, then they donate, and that helps. That's all good. And then, as you say, when you get Miss McLaughlin doing those things for you, and people recognize it, and that gets awareness. So I think it's all good. It does seem a little bit, I don't want to throw stones, but it does seem a little bit shallow to challenge or to even try to tear down something like that. That oh, you're doing the wrong thing. Um,
I think it was
I'd probably be a
somebody
little
trolling
facetious and
me.
say, well, what are you doing? Like I'm doing this and you've heard of it and others have too, and they're donating. So if that's bad, what's good? What are you doing that's actually making it better? So,
Yeah.
but I would never pick a fight. So
Yeah, I think this person was trolling me, but
yeah, yeah.
Lisa Langwa did it. Teal Piper, Roddy's daughter, did it. Tori
Mhm.
Wilson, another wrestler. I've had a couple people from the Howard Stern do it. Bobo and
Excellent. Yeah.
Brent and Caitlin Hatley, they both did it.
Yep.
And I know from 13 Fanboy, Jason Bradford, Ron Sloan, Dave Miller, Noelle
Yep.
Berger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's been people nominated. Adrienne King's been nominated like 4 times, and I know she said yes. It's just a matter of when. Um,
Now, did you create that? Is that something that you
no,
started, or
no,
just, oh,
no.
okay.
I discovered it after the Ice Bucket Challenge, and
Gotcha.
I grew up with that kind of humor, so I was like, oh, I like
Yeah.
this better than the Ice Bucket thing, you know.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
but um, But yeah, there's a lot of people that's nominated. Adam Marcus, Deborah Sullivan, they were both nominated a couple of times. Debbie Sue Voorhees has been nominated at
Yep.
least twice, maybe 3 times. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Troy Elke did the challenge, of course, in drag.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. I would expect no less.
Yep. Um, yeah, Haley Greenbauer was nominated, and
Yeah.
DeSante and Leahy, and I went after Judy Aronson on Cameo, and I actually got a response on that. She hasn't done it yet because of COVID, but she promises that
Hmm.
she is going to do it. She said she was
Okay.
jealous that Ron Sloan was involved with that, and she was like, but she didn't know she was nominated because I did it twice. I did it once in Toronto with Lisa Langlois, and I
Mhm.
threw it out to 13 fanboy people, and I mentioned Tracy Savage and Judy Aronson and et cetera, et cetera. I threw out whatever
Yep.
names were at the top of my head. And
Yeah.
Tracy, I think, is going to wait till after COVID. But
Sure.
yeah, I got to see Tracy do it.
There you
Yep.
go.
But she seemed interested, but she's going to wait till after COVID because right now she teaches and stuff. She doesn't want to throw that at her students right now, and I get
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
get that. So,
Well, maybe she'll let you throw the pie when she does it, you know,
well,
that,
I'd have to get out to California to do that.
well, hey, sure.
Of course, then again, meeting Tracy Savage would be worth it, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. Priorities, man. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Hey, Forrest.
Ellen Uty did it too from My Bloody Valentine. I threw it out to her because Ellen Uty is a clown.
Oh,
She's in that slasher film, but she walks on stilts and does all that
uh,
stuff, does clowning, and I was like, "I got
wow.
to nominate her for that."
Yeah.
And she did it.
Wow.
And yeah, so
Very cool.
I've had a few people do it,
Mhm.
but, yeah, so there's definitely some people from 13 Fanboy that, Melanie Kinnaman said she'd do it too, but after the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I'm still in touch with Melanie.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think she wanted to be in 13 Fanboy, but couldn't coordinate it, couldn't get it going. I think I actually spoke to her about that a while back. So yeah, she's very nice too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, have you met Melanie?
No, just through online interactions and things like that. Because I was thinking, well, wait a minute, you were in part 5 and with Deborah and everything. So yeah, you completely need to be there. And yeah, I don't remember the exact detail, but I think she wanted to and just wasn't able to. I believe she was in the middle of another film at the time.
I
So
love Melanie.
yeah, she's great.
Yeah, yeah. I did hear, I don't know whether I heard this from Tiffany Helm or not, that Tiffany Helm's picture is supposed to be in this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would be
Neat.
cool. It'd be even cooler if she had the violet hair,
Oh yeah, exactly.
you know? But I did hear that rumor, so I don't know. We might see some interesting that's something that's gonna be interesting with this. It's gonna require, especially for you and I, it's gonna
uh,
require more than one viewing. First time,
oh
it'll
my
just be the
gosh.
sheer shock of seeing it,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we're part of it. A second time is gonna be like, "Okay, what did I miss?"
Oh yeah, and I hadn't really put it together until now, but that may be a big part of the cult following. Hey, call it a drinking game. Every time you notice where one of these little pictures in the background is from, or you can name the person who's there, or whatever it is. Because yeah, I think it's one of those. I couldn't dare necessarily compare it to Back to the Future or something, but just so thought out that like you say, it'll be great in and of itself. My children who may not know any of the prior stars will appreciate it for what it is. But everybody else, it's just going to be packed with Easter eggs. Hey, did you realize that there is a tribute to something, and this is this other person getting in there. So yeah, I think it's just going to be very, very packed, very dense, with interesting little things. So yeah, I'll probably have it pretty well memorized front to back. It'll be
How
my
cool do your kids think that you doubled for Harrison Ford?
Oh, they love it. Yeah, it was years before my daughter stopped singing the theme, and making the notes all the time. She was very hooked on that, and has been very proud on social media that I've done it. And they're also very excited for 13 Fanboy that I'm in that. And they keep reminding me that my scene is so important that it probably won't even be in the trailer because it might give away some of the best parts and things like that. So yeah, it's very exciting for them. So
Yeah. You got anything? I think 13 Fanboy might be the last thing you're listed for on IMDb. I was
mhm.
wondering, do you have anything else coming up, or has COVID pretty much just kept you out of the loop for that right now?
Yeah, definitely COVID put the brakes on almost everything. I've started to see some people pre-planning. So they're starting to do more open calls and things like that for work that's going to be, I think, April, May timeframe. So I may dabble in some of that. But yeah, the 13 Fanboy is in the can and ready to go and should be coming out next. The other one you mentioned.
Troy's in the can too.
Yeah, usually. Um, the Eyes of Tammy Faye that you mentioned as well, that one I believe is complete, and is another one that keeps bouncing release dates. So I think last I saw maybe it was a September estimated release, but had initially been April this year. So we'll see what actually comes out when. But yeah, I've got to. It's starting to pick up again, I think. So
Hmm.
I've got to go ahead and get in front of the camera again before long. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe after 13 Fanboy, the phone will start ringing off the hook like it does for Chris Sanders with Nest of Vampires. Then I'll have right of refusal. I'll get to read the scripts first. So We'll see where that goes.
I'm looking behind you there. Do you play guitar?
I do. Not the
Yeah.
best, but yeah, I dabble.
Do you play as good as Troy?
No, definitely not. I took classical guitar in college, so I used to be able to play some nice little pieces there. I've played folk music with my father, and my brother actually was on bass, so we had a little bit of a family band that we could do coffee house shows and things back in the 90s, I guess it was. So um, done a little bit of that, lots of singing and so forth. But yep, no, I just keep the guitars around just as a hobby, something to play with. But yeah, I was pretty impressed seeing Troy break out his heavy metal stuff. He's got it going on, man.
Troy's an interesting chap, I gotta say. I'm glad, even for you and myself, gotten to know him. You
Yeah,
know, yeah. I love talking to him, and it's yeah, he's an interesting character. I'm glad he's involved in 13 Fanboy.
yeah,
Of course, it's just his voice. I'm like, he needs to be seen. But
yeah,
it is his voice.
yeah,
But nonetheless, yeah, I'm very excited about this film. I hope we get it here. You
yeah,
know, yeah,
yeah.
we have a 10 screen theater here. My
Mhm.
big issue is we'll have one film occupy about 5 of those screens, and
Oh,
I hate that. It's like, make bigger theaters if you're going to do that.
yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, if there's that much demand for a picture that they're filling up five at a time, I guess that's one thing, but that's pretty surprising that they would.
I don't know. My answer to that is when you build the theater, build a bigger theater.
Sure.
You know, build a bigger theater, so that way you can fit more people in there, have more doors for people to get out in case of fire.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm surprised that drive-ins haven't taken off again after this whole pandemic. We haven't had
I
drive-ins here since the 80s, and they're not
ah
popping up here at all.
Now I think and I wasn't prepared for that subject, I guess, but John Schneider, I thought had just opened one or was taking his movie Stand on It around to drive-ins and things like that. So
Hmm.
I know there are some forces out there trying to get that stuff rolling, which makes sense, in the current conditions. But he's actually about an hour north of me today, and then playing with his band tomorrow. John Schneider is so, but that one's not a drive-in, as far as I know.
When do you think the Troy Elke biography is going to go to the drive-ins?
Oh, geez, it's going somewhere. I don't know. It may be our ticket to hell or something.
Didn't you like that whenever they had the big snowstorm there and he was in the hotel and he gave us that nice shower scene that we got to be privy to?
Yeah, yeah. And when I gave him the money to put him up in a hotel, I told him that was the one condition: just do not send any shower scenes. So I may have inadvertently inspired him. So, but thankfully it was tasteful.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
at least by a
yeah.
certain standard.
I know he mentioned he's got a film project he wants to do this year. Are you
Mhm.
gonna get involved in that?
His film project, I'm not sure which one that is.
I don't know what it is either, but I know he's talked about it, and um, I told him if I can get involved in some way with my voice or something, I said I'd be happy to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I guess once I know a little bit more about it, I'm sure I'll be involved if he's looking for people to be involved. So,
I think it's called Troy Elke the movie.
oh no. Well, in that case, maybe I don't want my name associated. We'll have to see.
So, when you got to 13 Fanboy, what were we grew up with these movies,
Yep.
What was it like just first laying eyes on these people that you've seen, like whether it be Debbie Sue, Tracy Savage, or Judy Aronson, or whoever?
Yeah. It was very surreal. I guess you could say a little bit of, starstruck,
Hmm.
like so many people, because you feel like you know people to a certain level, but you know that all you know is their characters and things like that. But just the imagery to have that come first. Usually people and family, whatever, and then you have pictures and you put those on the wall and so forth. So it comes in that order. So it is a little bit surreal to see so many photos and images first, and then actually meet the person. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. Same with Harrison Ford, just to see him in person after seeing him in Star Wars and pretty much every other top film outside of Jaws. But yeah, it was really cool. And in fact, kind of tying back into what we were saying with this whole community, Jason Bradford and others, he had been posting so frequently in the Deborah Voorhees sheer horror group on Facebook that when I saw him, that was almost the same kind of an effect, because I was like, oh my God, I've seen you before, like, so there was so much familiarity. And then with Vanessa Wright, because I said, wait, you're Vanessa, right? And she said, yes, you're correct on both, like, yes, you're right. And that is my last name. So, but it was just kind of neat that to me, those folks were almost celebrities because I'd seen them posting online and everything so much. They were kind of influencers, if you will, in my world. But yeah, it was pretty cool to actually see people that I'd, quote unquote, grown up with, having seen them on film like that. I guess between being high anxiety sometimes and also being ultra professional, both in my normal career as well as any of this other film stuff, I really didn't speak to Deborah Voorhees very much. I mean, I saw her when I was there, and I brought her a nice Cape Fear T-shirt because I knew that was one of her favorite films, and it had to do with North Carolina, Cape Fear. And then just kind of tried to stay out of the way, let the professionals do what they do, and was probably a little bit too nervous to really speak to her too much. So I
You
kind
didn't
of,
get her an Attack of the Killer Tomatoes T-shirt?
oh no, is that her favorite?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm like, shoot,
That
opportunity missed. But I've spoken to her extensively since then, and we've developed a very good friendship and things, and do plenty of texting and whatnot. And then even later became executive producer and much more involved in things. But yeah, it's odd the order that things go, because I just was afraid to really say much to her, and I'm sure she would have been incredibly receptive, especially now that I know. But I was afraid to even take a picture of her because I thought that might freak her out and stuff. So yeah, I guess I got really shy, would probably be the.
you didn't take any pictures while you were there?
Well, they were very secretive about behind the scenes kinds of stuff, making
No,
sure
I
things
don't
didn't
mean
get out.
behind the scenes, but
Sure.
I would not have been afraid to go up. Like if I was in a scene with Tracy Savage, I wouldn't be afraid when everything was said and done to do a
Yeah.
picture, or something like that. I would have no issue going up and saying, Debbie Sue, uh, today's my last day. I was wondering, can I get a picture with you before, I
Right.
leave? I can't see them not being receptive to that.
No, and in fact, they were. And she was actually, I think, a little bit upset, if you will, that I didn't, because I've mentioned it. I kind of ribbed her a little bit later, and I was like, well, I guess I wasn't important enough to, get a picture with you like most of the rest of the cast did. And it sort of dawned on her. She's like, of course I did. What do you mean? So it was meant to happen. And I don't know, I guess just it, everybody was just very busy and intent and making the film and things like that. For me, there was plenty of downtime waiting while cameras and things were getting set, but for her, there really wasn't.
Troy
Um,
has plenty of downtime.
yeah, I'm sure he does. I'll have to try to get a picture with him someday.
No,
But,
but no, but
yeah, so
yeah,
no, I didn't do it, but I'll be on screen with Tracy, and I'll have that photo. And
you know
yeah,
what? I didn't get my picture taken with anybody on set, but so I just sent them my picture.
there you go. Well, you know, I did autograph a picture for Deborah and ship that to her, so I have to assume that's proudly displayed on her wall somewhere now. But,
Let me guess, you autographed a picture of Harrison Ford.
yeah, right. No. I was far too vain for that. It's an actual picture of myself, but yeah, we traded, so I've got her autograph picture and whatnot. But yeah, no, it was pretty cool. Like I say, it was I wasn't slighted by it in the least. I was so wrapped up in what we were doing. I mean, it almost seemed trivial to me that to actually meet the folks and work with them and do what they do for a living and just be so involved, that to stop and kind of fanboy, if you will, and say, okay, well, I got to get a picture to prove that I know you, or and I know that's not the real reason you do it, but it just feels like half the time, like we've seen Carolina Panthers players and things, and people I'm having dinner with will run over there and just try to get a quick photo with them. And I don't usually operate that way. It's more if it's a real interaction, then I'll say, yes, I really know this person. So yeah, I guess it just didn't even occur to me to take the time to do it. I thought, no, I'm actually here. It's legit. I don't need to prove it to myself or anyone else later. And
Well, when the
and I
movie
thought,
comes out, it'll be there.
oh, absolutely. But then, later, of course, I started to realize and think, oh, it'd be nice to actually have a picture for myself, not to prove anything. But yeah, so it was a missed opportunity, but I am invited to be at the premiere and to ride in the limo and all these kinds of great things. So there will be plenty of opportunity to do some of that, I think. So
Yeah, yeah, I don't think I'll be at the premiere. Of course, I'd have to get I don't know how much that would cost me to do that either, so I don't know
yeah,
to go there, but I don't have to be at the premiere because I still feel like I'm part of this whole thing, you know?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sitting at
Uh,
the theater is going to feel like the premiere, all over the country.
yeah, like it's still like my name will be on there as a co-producer and my picture will be in it. I'm like, I'm still part of this, you know?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I like the people I've encountered through this, and like the interactions with you and Troy and Noelle and all the shenanigans,
Yep. You got to have fun.
you know. So
Yep.
so that has been wonderful. So yeah, looking forward to seeing this movie. Have
Absolutely.
you ever done the conventions?
I have not. No, I have not been
Jeepers, you're
to.
missing out.
Yeah, for sure. And I was asked to come and participate in the convention scenes for 13 Fanboy and just wasn't able to make the schedules work. And I have to assume continuity wise, they must take place before I die, or I wouldn't have been able to be on screen or just, back turned or something. But yeah, it would have been great to hang out with the cast and do that. But no, I haven't been to a real Comic-Con convention kind of a thing.
I did 3 Horror-Ramas in Toronto, and I did 1 Toronto Comic Con, and I met Dee Wallace at one of the Horror-Ramas. They're a lot of fun to do,
Yeah.
and I promoted 13 Fanboy when I went to the 2019 Horror-Rama. I wore the shirt, had the tote bag, and
Hmm.
brought that around, and I even I ran into this band that I'd known there the previous years I was there, Blood Opera, who wrote a song for 13 Fanboy. Unfortunately, Debbie Sue did not use it, but it was called Fanboy, and it's really, really rocking.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was there, they asked me if I could help them get that to her, and
Yeah.
I messaged her right there on the spot, and her back right away.
Hmm.
And it was like, Yeah, so she told how the channel that to her.
Yeah.
I wish she had used it, but I do like the fact, she's got an Ari Lehman song "Victim" in there, which I like, and
Yep.
a song by Sloth, Tom McLaughlin's band. I forget the
Oh,
name of the
cool.
song, but it was certainly a cool song because I did hear the song that was used. But
Yeah.
but nonetheless, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the finished product, and
Yep.
if this does well enough, there'll be a sequel, and
Yeah, I texted Debbie Sue this week, and I get these crazy thoughts when I'm starting to fall asleep, all these stupid puns and things that I post online. And so I asked her if the sequel could be based on Nightmare on Elm Street, and we could call it Friday the 13th. And she got a kick out of it, but I feel okay mentioning it because I don't get the sense she plans to use it. So I thought, hey, why not?
well, Troy Elke had wondered whether the next one will be called 14 Fanboy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you do ponder these things if you're crazy like he and I seem to be. So,
So
um,
yeah, I was happy to be part of that, and you didn't get to meet Kane Hodder or C.J. Graham, huh?
I did not. No, I wasn't there on the days that they were there, or Lar Park Lincoln and gosh, what's that young lady's name that played the younger version of Lar Park Lincoln? I'm
Oh,
forgetting
Jennifer
her name.
Bonko.
Yes. Yep. I'm friends with her on Facebook and see her put her silly videos and stuff up all the time too. But yeah, there's a lot of fun, cool names and cool people that are out there. But no, I did not get to work directly with them.
I should
So
show you something that I got here. Speaking of which, just give me a
it's
second.
okay. This is a family show, so I'm really hoping that Greg doesn't pull something totally inappropriate out.
There we go. The tote bag.
All right. Yes.
But what's in the tote bag? My favorite Jason is Ted White
Yep.
from the final chapter.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is one of my prized items.
Oh, okay.
He sent this to me. He signed it.
Very cool.
It's it gets dark as I get near to it, but
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
yeah.
Very
Yep, he
cool.
signed that. I've had him on my show twice, and he was my favorite Jason. In
Yep.
fact, I think Jason was the scariest in the final chapter.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I heard a lot of talk about Kane Hodder, obviously because he played Jason in several parts from
Uh-huh.
7 through 10 and whatnot. But as a child, I had no idea that it wasn't the same person from, at least certainly part one was very different, but, 2, 3, 4, 5, this sort of thing. I guess I just naturally assumed, hey, it's still Jason. It must be the same guy. So it was kind of later that I even found out that it was, one and done for most of them. Uh, so it was hard for me to actually pick a favorite because in my mind they were the same guy. I mean, maybe he was in a little different mood at the time, but yeah, they're all pretty cool.
Yeah, I found him in the final. I actually liked all the Jasons, to be
Mhm.
frank, but I find the final chapter. I think Ted White really was the fact he got to run.
Yeah.
I found that is what made his one of the things that made his version of Jason frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I thought I'd show you that. Of course, I got to show off that tote bag as well. I took that to
Yep.
Horrorama in 2019. I'm hoping to be able to travel this year because it's like I really want to get back to doing the conventions. I'm glad to be able to do the show again today. And
Yeah.
you
Appreciate you
were
having me on.
you were worried about Gee, I don't know if I have enough interesting stuff for a second interview. We must have gone over an hour. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, I know. Well, that doesn't mean it was interesting. But hopefully it was.
I think it
To
was
me, it
fine.
was. But
And we haven't even gotten to detail about Troy Elke.
no, gosh, well, I'm afraid that I hope nobody's tuned out by now. That they're gonna miss out on all the Troy detail. But
All the Troy
yeah,
detail.
yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure, unless you got infinite time left in the day, I mean, we
Yeah,
could go into that.
no, it's probably best left untouched for a plethora of reasons.
we
Time
we
being
we love
one of
Troy
them.
Elke. We love
Yes.
Troy Elke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So you're
all
going to
right.
go to the premiere?
Yes, that's the plan. Yep. So
Well, hmm.
really
Right
boost up
now,
my IMDb photo page, get all those premiere photos out there.
right now it's a no on me, but I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, before 2017, I had no desire to travel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Lisa invited me to Horrorama, and it was like, and then that led, of course, to 13 Fanboy eventually. So who knows?
Right.
Who knows? Maybe,
Yep.
maybe, who knows? But in any event, I do plan to see the movie, and I hope I can see it at the theater and not streaming. I wish
Yeah.
COVID
Yeah.
would just take a hike, and
Yeah.
and I hope to see it in our theaters, but I can't make that happen. But
Yeah. We'll get there.
yeah,
I have
absolutely.
faith.
Yeah. Well, it was wonderful having you come on here today and
Yeah, it was. I
and
enjoyed it. It's great.
talk to you today. And yeah, I knew with this film coming out this year, I thought, "Oh, well, I'm going to try to get some people to come back
Hmm.
and make that happen. Uh, Still waiting to schedule Riley C. Morris, but as
Oh
far as
yeah.
this year goes, I mean, Christy Fontenot come in and uh, Noelle, I think, is supposed to reschedule, and I've had um, Joel Paul Rising, and of course, there's a bunch of the mainstream ones I plan to have back on, and all that's good stuff.
Yep.
Jason
Excellent.
Bradford, Haley Greenbauer, the bunch.
Yep. Oh, we
Yeah,
appreciate the support, keeping the name out there, keeping the candle burning. It's been a little bit long due to COVID, as you mentioned, but we
how
appreciate
interesting it
everyone.
was. Debbie Sue got that all shot before the lockdown.
Yep. Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
miracle, but
she got. Now they're in post production and editing and stuff, and
yeah, but we appreciate everybody keeping the enthusiasm for it. So
I'm excited.
make
It's the number one film I'm looking forward to this year, and I'm biased because I'm part of it. But
it. Sure.
but it's kind of like, yeah, I kind of want to see what I got my name on here. And the teaser
Yep.
trailer looks great. I'm looking forward to the trailer.
You're right. Yeah, it shouldn't be long.
No, it
Yep.
shouldn't be long. I wonder when she's going to post that.
Soon was the last she told me. So should be coming soon.
Well, that's what they've been saying about the pandemic, and soon. We're still waiting.
Well, yeah. Well, we don't want to associate ourselves with that.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, you're a
Right.
valuable part of 13 Fanboy, and
Well, thank you.
and don't ever forget that. And and of course, if it's still interesting that you doubled Harrison Ford. If that doesn't make you feel like a superhero, then I don't know
Yeah.
what does. You
Well,
know.
coming up with a bucket list is getting harder and harder. So I guess that's a good thing.
Well, you got to meet Troy Elke.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's
That may
part of.
be my death. That could go hand in hand. So I might put that at the end. He and I might get into a little bit too much trouble.
I
But
love the fact that you were doing some interaction active videos on Facebook.
uh-huh.
I think that's great. How did that come about?
Well, once I find out that someone's humor is as dark and twisted as my own, then, the gears start running. And so I would tend to give him ideas, put ideas in his mind and think, who's crazy enough to do this? Troy would do that. So I try to inspire him. And at a certain point, my wife started to contribute a little bit, and we got an idea to put something together. And Troy said, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what to do with that," and told me what to record and whatnot, and then he did the rest. So uh, yeah, it's just through, I guess, constant communication. Oh
I saw a picture on Facebook. Your wife is beautiful.
well, thank you. Yes,
Where
she
did you
is.
meet her?
I met her in Massachusetts, where I grew up, and she is a native California born. And I was enthralled in movies and movie making and all that sort of thing, very enchanted by it, and warm weather to get away from snow. So as soon as I said, that's where I want to go spend a good part of my life, she said, "Oh, I'm from there. Let's do that." So we moved out that way and then got married once we were in California. And our 25th anniversary is this year. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it's been great. Thankfully, we're still each other's best friend. COVID has not had as huge an impact on us as I'm afraid it has for other people, because we sort of prefer our own company of each other. So it's been great to have family home and just spend time with Kelly. And so yes, but thank you for noticing. And yes, I'm very thrilled.
When you do the Doubtfire challenge, you go do it with her?
Yeah, I might have to do that. She will certainly be involved. Whether she's the one throwing the pie, holding the camera, remains to be seen. But yeah, well, definitely she'll be part of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, we need to get rid of the pandemic, get 13 Fanboy on the screen, and yeah, get back to normal.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely. Coming soon.
absolutely. Well, Chris, if there's anything else you want to say before we close off?
Nothing super huge, just thank you for being a good friend, Greg, and for
Hmm.
supporting the whole indie community, and obviously 13 Fanboy and me and Troy and the other cast of characters, if you will.
Well, Troy needs
Uh,
lots of support.
yeah, he does. Yeah. Well, I'll leave it at that. It's a family show.
Have you been on his the podcast Jack Wagons Express yet?
No, I have not.
They
No.
have me on there, though the episode's not on there yet, but they have me on there one night.
Yep.
Yeah.
I probably make an appearance there. As soon as I'm ready to, completely destroy my career, then I'll probably, go ahead and show up on something like that. No, just teasing. But no, thanks again. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. It's been fun, whether this was recorded for podcast or not. I enjoyed chatting with you. So
Oh, it's recorded. It'll be up,
yeah.
and yeah, your other one will be up. But trust me, they're all going up. It's just a waiting process. And right
Yep.
now, my brother's been taking care of our terminally ill parents, so he hasn't even
Mhm.
got yours even on the ready to go yet. So
Right.
otherwise, I would have sent it to you. So that's what it has nothing to do with importance. I put them
Oh no,
up in
no.
order that I do them.
Yep.
So I know I interviewed you the same day I interviewed Noelle
Yep. Well, the
last year.
closer to the film's 13 Fanboy release, the better. So I'm okay.
Well, we'll see what we can do. Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right. Well, thanks again, Greg.
you have yourself a wonderful day. You've doubled
Thanks.
Harrison Ford. We can't wait to see you double Troy Elke.
There you go. I'll start getting my tattoos on.
Wonder what he hides under that beard.
Oh, geez. I don't know. That's a creepy thought. Poor Troy.
Anyway, you have yourself a wonderful day. It's an honor to have you as a guest a second time,
Thank
Chris.
you so
And
much.
yeah, next year, maybe I'll have you on again after we could talk about actually seeing this movie.
Exactly. Yeah. Talk more in detail on what our reactions were to it and what's going on with the sequels and all that good stuff. So yeah, that'll be great.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well,
Looking
God
forward to
bless
it.
you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.
All right. Thanks, Greg. You too.
You take care.
All righty. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye.